Absolutely. Yeah.
Good morning. We'll go ahead and get started with questions for Coach.
We always defer to you. Oh,
Good morning.
good morning.
What are you expecting from Keyshawn? What's his role?
Yeah, Keyshawn's a dynamic playmaker. Gets downhill, lives in the paint, gets to the foul line. Great finisher offensively. On the defensive side of the ball, highly competitive on-ball defender. He brings a lot of toughness. He brings a lot of character, resolve. Somebody that takes a lot of pride in winning, and he's a tremendous young man. So we're excited about what he's done up to this point, and thrilled to see what it looks like out there as we get going here this year.
Now, what's your background with him?
So Keyshawn was somebody I was aware of, when I was out in Las Vegas, and he and I developed a relationship. He committed to us when we were the head coach out in Las Vegas, and felt like he and I just hit it off from the start. There was conversations we had in my office and talked about what his goals were and how hard he was going to work every day to accomplish those things, and that's something that had always stayed with me. So when he decided to enter the transfer portal, definitely somebody that we had already had on our radar because of the pre-existing relationship, and just feel like he embodies all the qualities and traits we look for in guys that we want to have here.
It's been the early process of having a younger team for the first time here.
Yeah, younger group, a lot more teaching on the court, a lot of firsts, things that are new. I feel like as coaches, we need to be more patient, understanding there's going to be more of a process. When you take guys that are transfers or have more older transfers as we've had, those guys have already played for some great coaches and had some habits developed at the college level with the level of intensity you need to play at. Now having 6 of our 15 guys in their first year of college basketball, there's been some new things for those guys. And just in terms of multiple efforts, understanding how hard you have to play every possession, the schedule on a daily basis can get grueling, and just that level of physical play. So we've had to be open-minded and adaptive. But I feel like today, as we sit here, fortunate for that time to go to the Bahamas and the opportunities we had there, we're further along than maybe I might thought we could be with those guys.
Along those same lines, you guys have been kind of who you were going to be defensively pretty early the last 2 seasons. Can you do that again this year, or is it going to have to be a little bit more play out the string for these guys to get experience together?
Yeah, we'll see. We're certainly hopeful that it can. It's important for us that, when we start on opening night, that what we've worked on shows up for us. We're going to continue to uphold that standard, that's what, that's our expectation, and that's where we're going to demand it will be. And yet we're still open-minded to understanding, with some, they just hadn't been at it as long. But we're gonna set the bar high and demand that we uphold it best we can.
From the end of last season to now, what are some specific things Taman has done to build, to make sure he's going to build off an already successful freshman season?
Yeah, Taman, had so much on his plate last year when you really think about everything that we asked of him, and so much gets talked about of, and again, I think it's relative to our last game of the season of, shooting the three and, that sort of thing. And I'd say, like, Taman had to do so many things to run our team on both sides of the basketball. And, every time a ball goes out of bounds, we're huddling and sharing information. And Taman's, it's his primary responsibility to be the guy to communicate in there what we're running, how we're doing it, what's going on in the game. And so there's so many things on his plate. We're fortunate when the season ended, we're able to isolate his ability to shoot the basketball, put the time in. It's been great for us because for him to put that time and just focus on that one dynamic of his game has been great, and it's really paid off for him. His confidence has grown, just being able to isolate and focus on that. So I think as we move forward, you'll see that confidence show up for him because he's put in the hard work. Another thing that doesn't get talked about is we have more guards that are able to get in the paint and make plays now than maybe we did a year ago. And when you have that, he can get his feet set, moving on penetration, and get ready to knock down a shot. So it's not he has to create everything. And there's a lot of times last year we were dependent on him to create so much that him worrying about when he doesn't have the ball, wasn't as much of a factor because he had it so often and he lived in that paint.
And building off of that with the addition of Jackson, Keyshawn, Curtis, the options you have, possibly playing 2-point guards at times and all that. Can you talk about just the array of opportunities you have to try a lot of different things with that type of backcourt?
Yeah, there's exciting possibilities there when you have multiple guys that play the point guard position. That's always a good spot to be in, and we've tried to figure out the best way to put our team in position to win these first 2 years. But now you go into a season and you've got multiple guys that have played that position. I think there's just something to be said for someone who knows how to run a team or knows how to manage time and score or possessions, or when you need to get a touch in the paint, or when a guy's got it going and getting him a shot. And so that's been something that's, it's been really good for us. As you mentioned, whether it's Keyshawn, Jackson, or Curtis, all guys that have been good in terms of assist to turnover ratio up to this point. Curtis has been really terrific in that area. Keyshawn, somebody, again, he plays downhill so much, there's probably going to be a turnover here and there because you want him ultra aggressive. And Jackson lives in the paint as well. So all those guys give us more options, to your point. And so we'll see night in and night out, what's working the best for us and giving us the best chance to be successful against that opponent.
Coach, how do Milan and Omaha complement each other?
Yeah, very well, and that was something that stood out to us from a recruiting standpoint because both guys somewhere in the ballpark of 6'8", depending on how you look at it. Milan offensively is a guy that's, extremely gifted, high skill level, could shoot it with deep range. We want him to be as aggressive as anybody offensively, hunting opportunities to make plays there. And defensively, a guy that he can really impact the game with his rebounding, has great instincts on the glass. With Omaha, you've got somebody with a tremendous motor, a guy that plays with unbelievable spirit, passion, enthusiasm all over the offensive glass, slashing offensively. And then defensively is a guy that can literally guard every position on the court, has tremendous versatility. So both guys, they do fit together really well. Their strengths complement each other, and that's something that we're going to lean into as we move forward in the season.
What kind of growth have you seen from Hassan throughout this offseason?
Well, Hassan, at the end of last season, we saw him really, start to come alive. That last 2 or 3 weeks of the season, he had some impactful games. He was somebody that we not only utilize in a press situation to get a steal or a baseline out of bounds situation on dead balls. He was someone we could trap a ball screen and rotate. He gave us great energy doing that down the stretch. He made a big impact on both of our wins against Baylor, at the end of last season. So we saw that energy come in there, and then as the season concluded, he really recommitted and dedicated to his game. We had very direct conversation in regards to if this is what you want it to be for you and this is the year you want to have, this is how you're going to have to work on a daily basis. And he assured me that that's the responsibility he wanted. That's how he would work on a daily basis. And as a result, he's put himself in a great situation. And I don't shy away from the improvement that he's made and my level of confidence in him and what he's going to achieve and produce this season, because I've seen every day what it looks like, and I know that that will transfer as we get into the games.
Good morning, Coach. As you prepare to enter year 3 here at Iowa State, how much more prepared do you feel than you were when you entered here year 1 or year 2?
Well, fortunately, with the background being here as an assistant for 3 great head coaches and studying this program for a number of years, I think when you're able to come in, some things that have worked in the past or maybe that haven't. Maybe have a good understanding of who are the players that fit in as Cyclones and upholding the standards that we have for our program. Yet, when you've been in this league, you can't really prepare, for this conference unless you're in it every day and you know what that takes. And so we have a much better idea of how we need to practice, what we need to do on a daily basis, how that process needs to be implemented every single day as a result of it. We also have that standard. We want to start the season as strong as we have each of the last 2 years and be great on opening night. But I think you develop a confidence as a coach in understanding, your personnel. I think we have a better understanding of the team that we have this year, even though there are 6 freshmen on that team. Having the trip to the Bahamas, certainly helped as well because you have the chance to play some games and get some minutes. So we know that every night out, non-conference and league play, how challenging it is, how hard it really is to win at this level in college basketball. And we feel that we're prepared based on how we work every single day to take on that challenge.
You briefly talked there about the challenges that come with being a new player in the Big 12 with how difficult of a conference this is. You added a couple transfers who are playing at the high major level for the first time. When you're scouting those players, what are you looking for to determine this kid can be successful in the Big 12 conference?
Yeah, when you evaluate on the court, you're looking for guys who are production driven, guys that they're not just out on the court spacing the floor, they're not just out on the court, standing in open area defensively, but guys that are getting things done. And in each respect with Keyshawn, his ability to get downhill and guard the basketball, like that translates. He's a big, strong guard. He's close to 6'4" and 200 pounds right now, physical, dynamic, and element he brings that we saw. With Jackson, a guy who's another competitor, like he's ferocious that way. And, again, to be the conference freshman of the year in his league and average 15 points a game right away shows that he produced. And he did it, he did it against the Power 5 teams they played. He had some of his better games, which gives you a sense of confidence in how that will turn over. And then with Kurt Jones, someone we've been aware of for a long time, to be a leading scorer on a team is not easy. To step up and be a guy that's going to take the big shot and have the ball in his hands and to make 2.5 threes a game as he did, those type of things translate. So we look for the character, we look for the work ethic, we look for guys with that chip on their shoulder who want to take on that next challenge. They've got to come in with a tremendous sense of humility. When you're playing in the Big 12, the best league in the country, it's a step up. But if you work every single day to prepare yourself for that, you're going to be successful, and we believe that's going to be true with those three.
I think it's fair to say that on paper this should be your best offensive team here. What have you seen that translate early on here?
Well, what I would say is we certainly have more options, right? More guys that could play the point guard position, more that can handle the basketball, probably more guys that have shown to make a shot from time to time. Yet we're still going to hang our hat on the defensive end of the floor. We're going to dictate. We're going to pressure the basketball. We're going to be on the glass. When it comes down to getting better offensively, oftentimes, especially here, we look at, well, if your team can make 10, 11 threes a game, like that's great. I don't know if that's who we are as a team, but I do believe we can get to the foul line more than we have, and that's going to be important. When you have multiple guys that can get the ball downhill, getting to the foul line is a big part of having successful offense. We're going to have a high standard offensive rebounding. We have a guy like Omaha and 3 guys in their last year with Hassan and Rob and TK that can get all over the offensive board. So I don't know that our offensive greatness will necessarily be like fly it up the court and shoot a bunch of threes early in the clock. I think it's still going to come down to doing the effort-based things, being in the paint more, being at the foul line more, and being a team on the offensive glass, because our identity still needs to be the tougher team that has more grit and plays harder.
You mentioned a couple of times guys playing downhill, getting to the rim. I don't know that you've had multiple playmakers that can do that before. How does that change what you're able to do theoretically offensively? Yeah,
it does. It changes a lot because now, you get the ball in the paint and the defense has to react to it, whether it's frontline players that have to make decisions if they're going to step up or stay home, whether it's guys coming off shooters deciding if they're going to help on the drive or if they're going to get out and close to shooters. So when you have multiple guys that can do it, you almost feel like you can throw a guy who's fresh at that position and get us downhill where, truthfully, Taman last year, the minutes he's playing, the effort he plays with what we're asking defensively, there's times in the game where there just may not be that gas in the tank to really be that aggressive. Well, now we've got 3 or 4 guys that have that ability to do it, and that's going to help us immensely.
You're talking gas in the tank just there. Everybody's got to have more gas in the tank this year, right? Because of the conference makeup. What are the newcomers bringing to the conference?
Yeah, and I'd turn that question right back to you. You've done this a while. How much gas do you have left in the tank, Randy? I think we're all
not on the podium right now, and I'm not making your salaries.
We're all here for standards. We're all in this together. We talk about it. So I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. I'm sorry, Randy. What was your exact question?
What do the newcomers bring to the conference?
Here's what the newcomers bring in terms of, first of all, the transfers. Guys that have produced somewhere else, guys that wanted to play at the highest level, guys that were familiar with our program, who wanted to come here and be part of a winning program and bring an impact. In terms of, gas in the tank, they're guys that we feel like have shown, at the mid-major level what they can do and how they can produce, and now we're going to elevate them to that highest level. When you look at the freshmen, again, there's 6 of them. There's certainly guys that stand out from an ability standpoint on how that would translate. People talk a lot about Omaha, and what I'd say about Omaha is, the motor, the character, the energy, the enthusiasm that he plays with it's inspiring. It's awesome. And then, with Milan, another guy that, his ability, his skill set is so strong. So when you talk, again, gas in the tank, guys that have won state championships, a lot of them have, guys that have on the AAU circuit won at the highest level. And so to me, you're not going to just learn to win when you come to Iowa State. You're going to need to have shown that you can do that up to this point. And whether it's the transfers of the freshmen, they've all produced up to this point. Now we need to translate that production to being a Cyclone.
What are the newcomers to the conference that the teams bring?
Oh, I got you.
No, that too. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So again, you look at each program. Houston certainly plays like a Big 12 team and always has. Coach Sampson has a reputation of they're going to be physical, they're going to rebound, they're going to get after you on both sides of the court. The program at Cincinnati is one that has a rich tradition, and now they've had some impactful recruiting. And they're looking to take that step with their program. So they've had a lot of success in the past. BYU's been, a premier program in their league, has been inside the NCAA tournament, and a team that, their home court's also, we've been there before, really tough place to play. And then Central Florida, as the program, I don't know quite as much about, but I know Coach Dawkins, when he was at Stanford and I was an assistant at Washington, how tough their teams were and how well prepared they were. So we expect that it'll only continue to elevate our league. I think as all the changes and conference realignment happen, we've established ourselves as the premier conference for college basketball, and feel like that's only going to take a step with the additions we have this year.
You talked a little bit about Omaha, obviously the motor, the athleticism. It seems like he's the perfect prospect for your type of system. What kind of impact has he made on the court right now, and how has he been adjusting to the college level?
Well, for Omaha, had this opportunity this summer to play with USA basketball, and so that took him out of our summer program for 5 weeks. So when he got here in early July, or that first or second week of July, and was integrated in our process, he was a little behind where some of the guys were in terms of just what we do and how we do it every day. You never question his character, his energy, his effort. I also feel like that's been great for him, because I don't want to say humbling, because he's a very humble young man, but you realize just how challenging it is day in and day out at this level. And I tell you, like the last week or two, we've really seen him take a step forward. I think his confidence is improving immensely on a daily basis. He's earning it. So many times he says to me, I want to earn everything. I want to earn everything. I want everyone to see me earn everything. And that just speaks volumes to the young man and the character that he is. So I would say, being a local guy and being as highly touted as he is, there's going to be an expectation level from our fans and the community and what everybody expects to see. What I challenge everybody to say is Omaha is going to play with a relentless effort. He's going to be someone that really cares about the Cyclones winning. And regardless of what it looks like in a stat sheet, that we should always look at, man, he really wanted to be here, and he's going to do everything it takes for this program to win and this team to win. And I really couldn't be more proud of him. He is an ideal fit for our program.
What kind of challenge does it bring, the physicality of the Big 12, to adjust as a freshman, no matter how talented you are as a player? Yeah,
it's definitely a big step, regardless of played in high school, you played in prep school, you played on a great AAU team. You come in, and it's a huge jump. I mean, it's a big jump to Division I college basketball. And then when you say the difference between the majority of the leagues and what we see in our league night in and night out, what a foul is or what one isn't, how aggressive it is on the boards, like it's hand-to-hand combat. You better be the more physically aggressive guy. And then, the teams that are able to impose their will from a physical standpoint are able to usually foul less and be the team that puts themselves in a better position to get into the free throw line. And that's one area we're really going to pride ourselves on being better. So the freshmen embracing that right away is going to be important.
How would you describe what it means to your team to have a guy like Rob that's been here since the beginning? Trey's been here a long time. Hassan also quite a while. What does it mean to have those guys in terms of not only performance on both ends of the floor, but also in terms of leadership with the young team and some newcomers.
Yeah, I absolutely love Rob Jones. I mean, he's one of my favorite human beings. He's a guy that, man, when he came into this program and where he is now, just in terms of his growth, what he's learned, to be sitting here and talking about like he's one of our leaders, like a guy that you look at as a voice of our team, and it's not just something that he's turned on, it's something he's earned through the hard work every single day. When we're out, conditioning and things along those lines at 6'10" and 255, 260 pounds, a guy who's at the front of the line, who's winning sprints, who's doing the effort-based things, who's demanding it from his teammates. He has a tremendous sense of pride for what he's accomplished to this point, and now saving his best for last. So I couldn't be more proud of Rob Jones. I couldn't be a bigger Rob Jones fan and more of a believer in him and how he elevates our program. I think people aren't able to see every single day that impact, right? You only gauge, well, this is what happens in a game, but so much of what we've accomplished to this point and what we will accomplish this year is byproduct of how hard Rob works and what he demands of himself and his teammates. And it's really been impressive because he's at the top in terms of work ethic and leadership in our program. Guys like TK and Hassan, TK, unique situation for him last year being eligible at semester. So now he gets to let it rip from the start. That'll be exciting. And then even for Hassan, last year, he had the visa issues, so he didn't get in until after our summer program was completed. He missed those 8 weeks, so didn't feel as involved. And now both those guys are starting from the jump. It's really exciting to have guys in their last year who really care about our team winning and then, their prospects after college. It's going to be fun.
What's the plan for JT?
Yeah, we brought him in with the intent of the plan is to redshirt. And right now, there's really not any benefit to declaring that today. We want him to work every day, at the highest of abilities to compete and put himself in position to do that. It would be reasonable to assume that would be the course of action and where things land. But at this point, he knew this was going to be a developmental year, and as we evaluated the options, or he evaluated those options, and we gave some input, he felt like being here in our process on a daily basis would be the best way for him to develop this year, and he's backed that up by his work every single day.
How do you handle that where he's kind of got his own plan of terms of what he does day in and day out while still being part of what you guys do every day?
Yeah, it's important that first and foremost, you get adjusted to the schedule of the demands that we have in terms of academically what we require and all the other time demands that you have here, because coming from not even having a senior year of high school and you're saying, man, on a daily basis, I've got to lift, I've got practice, I want to get in some extra shots and shooting. Bigger guys especially, I got to be in the training room, recovery and rehabbing, and then my nutrition and diet, and there's so many things on his plate. So I think the most important thing is that he, gets that process in place, and he's been at it for 6 weeks. He's done a great job on the court in practice, getting the reps he can, but then we're going to be mindful of towards the end of practice, maybe getting him some more live repetitions, or after practice concludes, having him do things for an extra 10 minutes to just, get him where he needs to be and take the steps. And we talked about it, like he needs to look at practice as that's his game, right? That's his opportunity to lay it on the line and show what he's got. So been pleased with how he's done that so far. And, at his size, with his skill level, his intelligence, he brings a lot to the table.
TJ, free throw shooting was an issue for you last year. Is that solved by recruiting better free throw shooters, or are you doing something in practice to address that? Yeah,
we both. First of all, guys that have gotten to the foul line, especially late in games, and been able to seal games. I mean, the margin is going to be so many games in college basketball, not just for us, but for everybody. You've got 8 or 10 games that are determined in the last couple minutes. And not that the free throws aren't important at the beginning of the game, but, at the end of the game, they really matter. And so it's important to have guys that have done that have confidence in doing that. And we feel like we've addressed that in recruiting, and we have some of those guys. And then we've implemented from a process standpoint. This summer we started doing it, and we'll carry it over into the fall. If guys are shooting a certain amount of free throws on a daily basis, we're charting them so they can develop the confidence every day when they're tired. You still can't totally simulate what it's like to be in a road game or in Hilton Coliseum and, the stressors and things that are going on. But best we can, we've told our guys we are going to be a great foul shooting team. We've addressed it recruiting. We've addressed it in our daily process, and it's something that we feel will demand and take a big step forward this season.
Coach, you talked a little bit earlier about the gifts that Milan has offensively, but for a freshman, how do you make sure that he doesn't try and do too much at this level, or he's not being forced to have so much on his plate offensively for you guys?
That's with Omaha?
No, Milan.
Milan. Yeah, I mean, look, we're really confident in his abilities and what he can do, and he can handle it, right? So he can handle a lot of responsibility. He's gifted. He's got a phenomenal stroke. He's got a high release point. It's hard to get to. He scores the ball in unique spots. We're going to continue to find ways to get him the basketball near the rim so he can get an easy basket here and there. He's got to be resilient on the offensive glass to create extra opportunities, but we're not going to shy away from his talent and his ability and what he can do. There won't be any pressure from our vantage point. We just have a strong belief in what he can do, and we're going to continue to elevate him in being the best version of himself. But he's answered every challenge from that vantage point, winning 3 state championships and leading the Nike EYBL in scoring for a period of time. So we don't have any reason to believe he won't continue to do that same thing.